Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to talk about whatever you guys need to talk about. I know there's a lot of questions regarding the new criteria on the criteria sheets because we can no longer do criminal background checks. With that being said, make sure it doesn't say anything about felonies or criminal backgrounds on your criteria. Very important. Getting everybody in here, just bear with me. Oh, I hear somebody asking me something. Who's talking?
Erica was asking how our meeting went with your people.
Well, they haven't got her served yet. And I told them if they don't have her served by the 15th, that I want a refund.
Yeah, please, because this is going on.
I'm not playing. No, I agree. So they have until the 15th and I want a full report.
Okay, thank you so much for the update.
No problem. No problem. I agree with you. All right, everybody, we're going to talk today about the new laws and answer questions that you guys have. And I know there's a lot of questions regarding criteria. There's a lot of questions regarding no criminal background checks. We can't check. Well, let me say this. You can check criminal background all you want, but you can't deny them for it. Okay? Makes sense? And I know I look bald today, but my hair's in a bun. I'm not bald, I promise. I'll stop looking at myself because it's going to make me I'm not bald, I swear. There's hair up here. You need clarifications. A lot of people do. Unmute yourself, Arlene. Let's have a conversation, baby. Everybody needs clarification on the new criteria.
Okay, thanks, Patty. Yeah, I appreciate.
You,
okay, I appreciate you putting it up on the website, but I do have some questions.
Sure.
The first one is that you have no evictions, and I know we've talked in the past about, that you were even considering saying yes, evictions. So, kind of your thoughts on that. Do you want me to go one by one, or you want me to give them all?
Here's my thoughts on evictions, okay, you guys? And this is me talking to you out of my opinion, not giving you any advice, okay? And let me get my Roadrunner girls in here because I see they just joined us. So give me a minute. Let me get them in because they're going to want to hear this too, I promise. Okay, so we're talking about the new criteria that has to be changed with the new law changes so that we're not discriminating. That's what we're talking about right now. And Arlene, throw your question at me one more time because this is a good one,
Sure.
you guys.
Okay, so on your rental criteria sample that you have on the website, you have in capitals, no evictions, exclamation point. And we've talked in the past about, that evictions are not visible to us.
Okay, so let's talk about this really quick, just so everybody's on the same page. Evictions have not shown on credit reports since January 1st, 2017. Okay, it's been 7 years.
Oh, it wouldn't show anyhow.
Bingo. No. So the people that are standing in front of you could have an eviction on their credit report and you can't see it. You can't see them anymore. And if you do see an eviction on a credit report, it means the landlord won within 60 days of filing the case and the tenant vacated. I don't know about you guys, but isn't that the tenant you want? That's the tenant I want. I want that tenant that is going to go, oh crap, they filed a lawsuit against me. I'm out of here. Here's the keys. I'm running for the hills. I want them. I want that tenant. People are like, Patty, why would you want a tenant that's been evicted before? Because I can see that the landlord won within first 60 days of case filing, which means your tenant was served with the lawsuit and they ran scared in the middle of the night. I want them. I don't want the person that's going to ask for a trial by jury, rake me over the coals for 18 months, and then try to extort money out of me. I don't want them, but I can't see it on their credit report. I hope what I'm saying to you makes sense. We can't see those nasty evictions. If you're seeing an eviction come through on a credit report in the past 7 years, what it means is the landlord won judgment within 60 days of filing the case. I want that person, not the jury trial people. I want that person.
Right, but if you have on your criteria, no
Mhm.
eviction, if you want to do fair housing and treat everybody the same, and you
You can
take that
still
person,
say, you can still say no evictions, but you could say evictions welcome, inquire within. Because remember, if you can see it on the credit report, that's the kind of eviction you want if you're going to accept people with evictions. Remember, you cannot see the people that asked for a trial by jury. Anything that was litigated over 60 days, the record is automatically sealed. And you guys always say in court, well, the attorney sealed the record. He said, we're just going to seal the record because it doesn't show. It's going to get sealed anyway. We're using that as leverage, although there isn't any leverage. It's going to happen anyway. So please don't yell at your attorney for putting in there that the record will be sealed because it's required. It's the law, okay? They're really not trying to get one over with your tenant, I promise. I promise. So, okay, so we talked about that. Let's talk
Okay.
about whatever else you need to talk
Okay.
about.
Okay, the next one, it says, some pets may be allowed with additional deposits, documentation, and rents may be required. Please inquire. If you're in Larso, you're not allowed to, so just take that out, correct? Okay. And then
If you're in
the
LA County, you're not
right,
allowed to.
okay. So just
And
take that out. Okay,
pet rent
Right.
gone
yeah.
everywhere across the state.
The occupancy limits for the property are 2 per bedroom plus 1, but that you can change that if you want. You can just make it 2 per bedroom. You don't, I mean, there's no law that says that. That's just kind of standard kind
Hold
of
on,
stuff.
let me explain.
Okay,
If you put an occupancy standard in your criteria and in your lease contract, it's most likely enforceable as long as it's not children that are the unauthorized occupants, because they're a protected class. So with that being said, I hope that makes sense to you of why we want to limit the amount of occupants in a unit. Again, if they have children, you got to be careful, because if they have more babies, you can't just kick them out. Children are a protected class. But if you want to enforce occupancy limits, it needs to be on your rental criteria and in your lease contract, according to legal counsel. The industry standard for maximum occupancy is 2 per bedroom plus 1, meaning 1 on the couch. The occupancy standard is not the law. I'm going to tell you what the law is, and you guys are all going to freak out. Okay? The law says that you can have 6 persons for every 690 square feet. That's putting dressers over windows, okay? That is not okay with us. Now you understand why we implement an occupancy limit, because of the state law. Doc, just saying, okay? Hope that makes sense. All right, next
Okay.
one, Arlene. And thank you for
Okay.
doing this
Sure.
with me, because
Sure.
everybody is like, yeah, these are good questions, I'm sure.
Okay, okay. If a cosigner is required to approve the application, the cosigner must meet the above criteria with the following changes. The FICO score must be 700 or higher, and the monthly income requirements are 5 times the amount of the rent. Should we just also add that they have to live in the state? Because I think if they're out of state, they don't qualify. Or is that
We're
a
going to change
guarantor?
the word from cosigner to guarantor.
Guarantor. Okay. Okay.
We're never going to use the word cosigner, because when you use the word cosigner, it means they can live in the house.
Okay. That's what I
If
thought.
you
Yeah,
use
okay.
guarantor, they cannot live on the property.
Right. That's, yeah. And they also
Okay.
have to live in the state
Well,
to be enforceable. I mean, well,
be careful, but let
Yeah.
me say this, okay? If someone resides outside of the state of California, debt collection law says they must be in the state of California for you to enforce debt collection. So if your tenant moves out of the state, your collection company cannot cross state lines.
right. But if your
If your-
guarantor lives out of state, you can't
I
collect
can't
either.
touch them.
Right. So can't you say in your criteria that the guarantor has to be a resident of California?
I
Right?
would.
Yeah.
I would. And
Yeah.
then let's throw this little caveat in there, and everybody, okay? Pay attention. A cosigner can live in the property, a guarantor cannot. The most important thing that you could put in your guarantor agreement is that the guarantor is responsible for the term of the tenancy. If it says the term of the lease, you don't want any part of that, okay? Because when your 1-year lease expires, your guarantor is no longer responsible. And now they're there on a month-to-month with no guarantor. That's a problem for you, okay? So if it says for the term of the lease, that's bad language. You needed to say for the term of the tenancy. Right
Got
on
it.
the nose, okay? And this is going to everybody out there, not just Arlene and I having a conversation. She's just really good to feed me the questions, okay? She's great at this. What you got next?
Just a couple of little other things. It says you must have good rental history. That's subjective, or how do you?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's is that by filling out the previous landlord question, verification form?
It leaves the window open for you to deny for various evidence that you collect.
Okay, and this one where it says you must have a social security card or TIN, is that for somebody who's not a resident of the United States? Is a TIN a
tax identification number, meaning they're having to pay taxes. If I have to pay taxes, so should whoever's living in my house.
So that I'm not familiar with. So that is like a card that they have or something?
A TIN number is a tax identification number. It's what they give people that don't have a social security number.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Yeah. No, I got you.
I'm waiting for Val
I
to
got
pipe in and say what it means, but
okay. Yeah. And the only other question that I have is, should there be anything in here about accepting credit reports provided, like no charge for credit reports that are provided by the prospective tenant that's 30 days or less, or should there be anything in the criteria about that I don't charge for it, nothing like that?
do you want to know why?
Yeah.
If you put that on your criteria and somebody goes to your property and reads that, they're going to go on freecreditreport.com, print out a free credit report and hand it to you so they don't have to pay. You don't want to advertise not to pay you.
Okay. All right. Just an FYI, I know
we're savvy, right? Oh, look,
okay.
if it says that I don't have to pay if I provide my own credit report, I'm going to go on freecreditreport.com and not pay.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I don't want to advertise that law. It's not a requirement that we disclose it at hello. It's only a requirement that if they hand us the report, we say thank you and don't charge them. So I don't want to advertise that.
Okay.
It's
Sounds
bad
good.
enough that they're advertising these new laws all over the news, okay? We don't need to continue to advertise.
Right. Okay. Thank you for answering all those. And just an FYI, you may want to let Dan know that their criteria is from 2022 and it's not current.
It sounds like I need to send Dan an email
Yeah.
and probably help him make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you for all your help. That was really helpful.
Hey, that's why I'm here. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to pick Patty's brain about?
Where are we getting, where is she getting the list where she's reading them off? Is that on your website?
I have a sample of criteria on my website, sample criteria.
What is your website?
Widgetsway.com.
Oh, okay. I've never even been in there. Okay, thank you.
There's
Hey,
all
Patty.
kinds of stuff on there. It tells you the new laws and what they are and gives you the new assembly bills, but I don't call them laws because I'm not an attorney. So if you want to know what the new rules are, there's a thing on my website called legislative updates. That would be the new laws, but I'm not an attorney, so I don't advertise them that way. Makes sense?
Okay. I saw here that, let's see. JP Hall has a question that I have too. So, it says just to
Oh, I'm not
confirm.
even looking at questions. I was talking.
Yeah. It says just to confirm, we can no longer charge pet rent.
Correct.
But what about, because I just actually signed a lease this morning and they have a cat. So we signed the pet agreement that's on the AGLA form.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't, it just says that pets, it asks what, what kind of pet, breed, name, and then it has repair, replacement, all that. That document still holds, like we can still have them sign that document.
Are you charging them additional rent for the pet? Because
No.
that's where the problem is.
No, I didn't charge them additional rent, but I did have them sign this document.
You're
From
fine.
AGLA.
You're
Okay.
fine. Let me explain, okay?
Mhm.
You have a tenant that lives in a property and they've lived there for 4 years. I don't
Yeah.
care what city it's in. Let's say it's right in the middle of the Devil's Cauldron and let's smack dab it right in the middle of Larso. Okay, currently you cannot do a rent increase there. They're on a rent freeze until February the 1st. Everybody's going to agree with the statements that I'm making. Your tenant says, oh, by the way, I got a cat. Okay, well, pet rent's $150. Okay, no problem. Did you just do an illegal rent increase?
Yes.
Okay, that's why we can't charge pet rent. That's why we can't charge additional occupant fees anymore. It's an illegal rent increase. If it puts you over the allotted amount for the 12-month period, you're violating the law.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So just remove pet rent, remove unauthorized or additional occupant fees, remove all of that, because if you enforce them, they're illegal rent increases. And that's worse.
Right. But the people that we did charge pet fees in the past and it's already in their contracts, we don't have to do anything with that.
I believe that's base rent now.
Okay. Okay, got it.
And I'd talk to your attorney to verify that.
Okay.
Patty, did you hear last night that City Council is going to be considering any pets that were brought in during the pandemic? You can't be evicted. They're trying to pass that.
Do you know that they are privy to our stuff? And I'm starting to wonder how many lawmakers sit in my classes, because every time I tell you guys, hey, this is how you beat this one, they pass a new law to stop that. Example, Section 8, they have to have a minimum FICO score, right? Not anymore, they changed the law. So how do we deny Section 8 applicants? Oh, we only do month-to-month contracts. Section 8 requires 1 year. You watch, mark my words, they'll probably pass a law somewhere in the future saying that all rentals need to be on a 1-year contract and tell us that we can't do month-to-month so that we're forced to deal with Section 8. You watch. For every action, there's a reaction. For every cause, there's an effect. For every law they place in front of me, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes, think outside of the building, and come up with a way around it. That's what we do, right? So if you don't like the new laws, wait. Once we get our heads wrapped around them, we'll find areas where you may be able to use a loophole or utilize a loophole. So I get it. It's very frustrating for most of us, but you just got to bear with us while we come up with the next thing that, oh, you're not going to let us say that we're on month to month. So, I mean, come on. When does the government get to determine how long I want to rent my house for? Okay, so every time there's something else that happens, I start to think, oh, they caught on to us. Are they listening to me? Are they listening to what I'm telling people? So sorry, but yes, that's what that's about. Anybody else?
Hi, Patty. Can you hear me?
I
Okay.
can.
This is Sarita Starr. I put a message into your box. I have a quick question. I have a tenant who's had a dishwasher for 1 year. 4 days before the warranty expired of a dishwasher, I called Whirlpool. Can you still hear me?
Yes, but it's always right before the warranty or right after the warranty. Always.
Right.
It's like
I was-
they
okay.
know. It's like there's a little chip in there that says break now.
Well, I don't believe it broke. It didn't. Okay, so I had Whirlpool come out under the warranty. then she still wasn't, and they claimed they replaced board, or
The
okay,
circuit board.
she
Uh-huh.
a circuit board. She claimed, then 2 weeks later, she claimed again it's not working. These are my trouble tenants. These are not the easy, have been years for trouble. Now I had a second person come out. They said again, she didn't use that dishwasher solution, that rinse aid stuff. Now she, again, 3 weeks later, again, they want, we have a third person ready to come. They all say it's working. Every professional says it's working. Now she's saying she wants to buy her own dishwasher and install it. So what
Actually,
is,
she's gonna pay for the last workman's bill because there's nothing wrong with it. It's operator error, and she now has to pay for that.
well, we
service
didn't
call.
get charged. We didn't get charged for it, but thanks for telling me that. Okay, but now
So-
should I, do you recommend, is that a bad thing? And by the way, her husband's an attorney. What? What?
I'm sorry, I can't allow you to install your own appliance and run it at the property, because if there's a water leak or damage to do with that, then it would fall on you, and I just can't have that. There's nothing wrong with the dishwasher. I'm sorry you're unhappy living here. Did you want to give me a notice to vacate today?
But
Hey,
that's,
Patty.
isn't that, that's antagonistic, isn't it? They're on
I'm
month-to-month
so
tenants.
sorry you're not happy
Oh.
living here. Did you want to
Okay.
give me a notice to vacate today? Because if you want to terminate the relationship, I understand. I'm not
Yeah, I want
telling you
them
you
to,
have
yeah.
to get out. I'm not telling
Right.
you I'm not fixing this or else. I'm asking you if you want out of the contract. I'm not forcing you to reside here.
Okay.
Hey Patty, can
In
I
other
jump
words,
in on this
go ahead.
appliance situation?
Go ahead.
And all the leases, I use the car lease for the most part, and it says that the landlord shall not repair, remove, or replace. And I put it on all of them because, yeah, the dishwasher is making a knocking sound. Can you send somebody? You know how hard it is to find an appliance repair person, and their fees, you might as well buy a new appliance. So I say, I type in on there that all these items, dishwasher, refrigerator, washer, dryer, whatever, are provided as a courtesy. That's it. I won't repair, replace. As a property manager, they call me and say, look, your lease section 11 says, boom. But if they're in there, that's great, but no warranty, no guarantee, no repairs or replacements.
Yeah, but
Here's
the
the
problem
problem.
in my
Here's the
lease, when
problem.
they,
Hold on.
okay, yeah,
Sarita, here's the problem. If it's a habitability issue, you're forced to fix it as a landlord. If the oven
What would
doesn't
be
work,
habitability on a dishwasher or a refrigerator?
because a dishwasher is a built-in appliance and they rented it with a dishwasher, and now you're
Right.
telling them you're not going to maintain it, that is bait and switch all day long.
It's in the lease,
Right.
it's in the car lease, so it's gone through legal challenges. It says boilerplate that the landlord shall not repair, replace, or remove. Straight out.
But it doesn't apply to built-in appliances, only
Right.
to washers and dryers and refrigerators. It
Stove,
does not count built-in
microwaves.
If the
Mhm.
owner provided it, the owner must maintain it.
Right,
Unless
correct.
it is something that is not required as
Ugh.
part of the housing, like a refrigerator or a washer or dryer. So a refrigerator, a washer or dryer, you can use those terms that they're here as a convenience, the tenant can use them, but the landlord won't maintain them. If it's a built-in microwave, the landlord better fix it or it's bait and switch, and they can withhold
Right.
rent. Same thing with the dishwasher. Anything built in that the landlord provided, unless it's a washer, a dryer, and I'm speaking of a clothes washer, a clothes dryer, or a refrigerator. Those are the only things you can say are there for the tenant to use and the landlord won't maintain them. Look at it this way. The oven's built in, right? The oven doesn't
No.
work. They don't
No,
owe
the
rent.
oven's a pull out. You can put a dolly on it and get it out of there. It's not a
Did the
cooktop.
owner provide it?
Mhm.
Well,
If
they,
the owner provided it at hello, an oven is a habitability issue, so the oven has to be maintained. So does the stove.
why is I do a lot of Section 8 and I read all this habitability crap. There's nothing that a mailbox is habitability.
A mailbox
is
key,
habitability.
window screens. Yep.
Yeah. those are habitability issues. They don't mention anything about appliances.
Yes, they do. Read again. Hot water is a habitability issue.
That's a hot water
non-working,
heater.
right?
Okay.
A non-working stove or oven is also a habitability issue. You can look that up under Department of Business and Consumer Affairs website for the state of California regarding habitability issues.
But if you don't provide them up front, then it's not.
Correct.
Right,
If I rent you
correct.
a house with no stove,
Nothing.
I'm not required to
Right.
provide a stove.
That makes sense.
If I
yeah.
rent a house with a stove, I'm provided to maintain it.
So even though the lease states all of these appliances and it says that the owner shall not, the state code overrides the lease?
David, can I
Right.
talk to you really loud? Just like you and me talking? If
Yeah,
I put my
not being
rental.
recorded, it's not gonna be on YouTube, so nobody's gonna know. Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead. Let's just talk
I
about
watch
this,
the
okay?
YouTube ones if I can't be here, so yeah, go ahead.
It just puts the owner in a bad position, and I don't want to be exposed to anything that I don't need to be exposed to. So what I do in my contracts is if it's built in and I'm providing it, it's a habitability issue, period, end of report.
When you say
If I
built
have-
in, does that mean hardwired?
No.
Like
If she
built in.
provides.
Built in.
Ah,
So if you have a built-in microwave that's built into the cabinets, it's your responsibility to maintain it. That's the law. Okay? And you know how
Stove
many
I can
people-
pull out, disconnect and put on a dolly and go, that's not built in.
If you provided it, you have to maintain it. Unless you put in the lease that you won't maintain it. And the only things that you can't maintain are things that are not a habitability issue. Let me turn this a different way so everybody understands what we're talking about, okay? Because I need to say this. You know how some people will put in their rental agreement that the tenant agrees to waive any rights to a jury trial? And we put that in our contract and tell them they can't ask for a jury trial, so it doesn't cost us money later? Just because we put it in the lease doesn't make it legal. It's our civil
Mhm.
right to have a trial by jury. So just because you put it in the lease that you're not going to maintain the oven or the stove doesn't make it legal.
Okay,
Okay,
and
I'm just
Patty,
trying to
I'll do some
explain.
homework on that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, Patty, I had one more question about a
Sure.
pet. Okay, so I have a tenant who, when they moved in, they had 2 dogs. Then a year later, they added a dog and I charged pet rent. And that was a year ago. So are you saying right now for 3 dogs, so I can't, that was 1 year ago in 2020, January of 2023. So now I have to take away that pet rent?
Well, what city is the property in?
It's not under rent control. It's under the California, whatever, AB,
Okay,
that one.
so you're under 8.6% annually currently under City of Los Angeles, non-RSO. 8.6 off the
yes,
top of my head.
Okay, I'm non-RSO.
Did you do a rent increase this year in
No, not-
2023?
No, not yet. No,
You
no, or
didn't do
2020.
any rent increase in 2023.
Oh, I think I did. But I
Plus
can't
you did
remember.
$150. Did that put you over the amount? Because if it did, you need to refund it and credit it immediately.
For the whole year. $100 for the whole year.
Yes.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I did not rent it, increase it in 2023. The rent increase, I think I notified them in 2022 that started on January 1st, 2023. And then they asked for the 3rd dog. So, which is $100 more in pet rent.
It's
So I'm not-
just rent. So it could be considered an illegal rent increase and you need to refund it. You keep
For the
calling
third-
it rent. So what is your rent increase? If you raise the rent once and then you add pet rent, that's an illegal rent increase. You can only
there-
do one increase every 12 months.
But
Nothing
they
more.
moved,
But-
their lease started with 2 dogs. And on January 2nd of 2023, they wanted to add a 3rd dog. That's too many dogs, in my opinion. I don't believe in it. But they agreed to pay $100 more for the 3rd dog. So you're saying gonna have to refund that for the whole year? They paid it all of
Potentially.
Oh.
Wasn't there a rent freeze in 2023?
She's exempt.
No, I'm exempt. I'm not under RSO. I was able to raise it. I have to go check. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. So if I raised it starting January 1st, 2023, the regular increase, and then after that, they agreed to pay for the third dog another $100, then I have to pay back for the whole year of that $100.
Well, look at it
Can
this
I-
way. If it put you over the maximum that you could have increased for the year, you
Oh,
have
I
an
see.
illegal rent increase. If it's
Got it. I
over
don't-
8.8%,
Oh,
you're
I see.
screwed.
Okay, but just for, oh, I understand okay, that's the caveat. If I'm over, I always under, oh, my rent increases are always under the 8.4.
But now you understand what I'm telling you. If the
Yes.
maximum rent increase you could do is 10%,
Got
and you
it.
raise their rent $200, and then they bring in a dog and you charge them another 150, the
No, they
150 is an illegal rent increase.
But I
Because
don't
you're
want
calling
the
it
dog.
rent.
Okay, didn't call it rent. I called it pet rent. Is that still rent? It's
Rent.
only,
Still
Oh.
rent.
but it's for the dog. I want them to get rid of the dog. Do I have to allow a third dog? This doesn't make sense. Okay, but I get your point about the 10%. If it went above, I don't think it went above, but I will check.
Okay, but
have-
you
and then can I
understand what I'm
Yeah, I
trying
understand.
to
Can I
explain?
ask them to get rid of the dog? If you call it rent, it's still for the it's for the dog. So can I ask them that they're in breach and move out the dog? Get them to be out? No. Wow. Okay.
And then,
well,
okay, let me take this to another step. So we're talking about how they're changing the laws and they're doing things and how we can't charge for a pet in any property that was built in 2025 or later. There's a new ordinance in the building code and a new law that we cannot charge pet rent for any building that was built in 2025 or later. Okay, we're not there
Okay.
yet, so don't panic.
right.
There's another one, and it says that starting January 1st of 2025, anything that gets a certificate of occupancy for that date or after, you cannot unbundle parking. Wait, what?
Yeah,
Okay,
what?
so you know how a lot of us have unbundled parking in our communities and used a commercial contract to do parking rent or garage rent, so it's separate from residential. That way there's no rent control on the parking, right? Everybody with me and everybody knows what I'm talking about? How in the city of
Yes.
LA, they unbundle the parking. They caught on to us and they passed a law starting January 1st, 2025. You can no longer unbundle any parking in California.
Patty,
Yes.
in the county of LA, it says no more than 3 dogs over the age of 4 months per dwelling unit, plus 1 additional service dog may be kept on any residential or agricultural property.
There's your answer, Sarita. The
These
law
are
says
not,
they can.
oh,
The
they
law
can.
says
Oh,
they can.
even
3
though it
dogs
wasn't,
and 1
but it-
ESA.
I know, but they have no ESA dogs, none of them, but they started their lease with 2 dogs. So you're telling me they can, okay, that's the question. So you sign a lease with 2 dogs and you're saying because California law says 3 dogs are allowed, they're allowed to bring in another dog without, wow. Okay, that's it. That did it. You're right. Wow. Oh my God.
Come on, we can't use Section 8, can't have a FICO score as
I
part of our
know.
credit criteria
I can have
anymore.
3 dogs. So someone who's 1 dog, they can bring in 2 more because of California law.
And
sign a
1
te-
ESA.
And 1 is, oh shoot. Oh my God, Patty.
Thank you, Arlene.
Thank you, Arlene. Oh
Yeah,
my
sure.
God.
Sorry for the bad news.
No, it's the truth. It's not bad if it's the law. I mean, I'm happy
The
to
law
learn
is
the
the
law.
law, guys. We can't change it or fix
Wow.
it.
Hello, Patty.
Yes.
This is Marion Arsenault. I have a quick
sweetie.
question for you. How are you doing?
Short, sassy, ready for the weekend.
Oh,
Hey.
good for you. Good for you. This is the situation. I have a tenant, Section 8. It's been living in the building for 10 years plus. and she received a rather large settlement last year. She replaced everything in my apartment unit, okay? And she brought in some very high-powered appliances. In the 10 years she was there, never had any problem. I don't have, I have what is known as the not fuse boxes, not breaker
I
boxes.
was gonna
okay?
say, I already know she overloaded the circuits. Okay,
Right.
keep talking.
Big time, okay?
I
She,
already know the problem.
yeah, a 1 year, I mean, she has a 1-bedroom apartment and she has a television of like 110 inches. Who does that? Okay. She had, she
Somebody
had,
that won a settlement.
exactly, there you go. A big ass refrigerator, big stove, a fake fireplace, yada, yada, yada.
Oh my God.
So anyway, and the,
I
since
already
we
know
put-
what's happening.
yeah,
But you want the answer?
yes, ma'am.
Hire an electrician, send the electrician in there and have him put in writing that she's overloading the circuits.
Okay, okay, just have an
In other
electric.
words,
Mhm.
this is at no fault but her own.
Exactly. Well, that's what I already reduced to
But
writing in the let.
you,
Go
you
ahead.
don't get to write that because you're not an expert in the field. Hire an electrician to do it.
Oh, I did send someone over there that told me that as they were, this is the 4th time in electrician. This is the 4th time in the last 4 months that she's done this. And she talks to me like I'm the bad guy that caused it. Your building is this, your building is old, your building is this. And so I politely told her, apparently you're not happy here. So are you telling me, are you telling me you want to leave? And because there are plenty of other places out there that would probably accommodate all of your high-powered appliances. So just tell me what I need to do. I'll get the
Honey, you
electrician
already
over
did
there.
it. But
Okay,
get
I
the
did.
electrician over there. And then when she overloads the circuit, start
Mhm.
telling her that she's gonna pay the service call bill.
Well, that's what I indicated too. I said, I've done it 4 times, will not do it again.
Now it's excessive.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I put on there, excessive use of the electricity. It's
Right,
only
But,
to
but
accommodate
you,
60.
I don't want you to tell her that.
Oh,
I want
okay.
a licensed professional to tell
Okay,
you that. And
okay,
then you have the evidence to tell her that, because it's
okay,
coming from a professional, not from your mouth.
okay, so, okay, I'll take care of that. Thank you.
But what happened to the things that she removed? Because isn't that a breach? Didn't she change?
Yeah.
She didn't ever mention that she replaced an oven.
No, it was, none of those items were mine, but,
See?
but
But
what she,
she's
Oh.
put in her own new
That's
stuff
right.
that's overloading the circuits.
that's right,
It's not the owner's stuff in there that's the problem.
right. And that's what I told her. You never had a problem until you got your high-powered items in. That's one. She removed my ceiling fan lights without my permission, threw them out. She removed
Hold
all
on,
the, go
stop.
ahead, go ahead.
Look at your rental contract and see if it says that the tenant cannot make modifications to the property without the landlord's written consent. If that's in your contract, call your legal counsel.
Yes, yes, and I'm going to do that, but listen to this. This is so interesting. As I was going through her file folder, I noticed that I should have had 12 pages of the rental agreement from Section 8. And I noticed that all I have from Section 8 out of 12 pages is only 2, page 2 and 3. And so I contacted Section 8 to ask them to please provide me copies of the original agreement from 10 years ago. They wrote me back and said, what I have is all that they have. So I was going to give this to the attorney so we can move forward with the eviction, but I don't have all the pages. So where do I go from here?
You're gonna have to talk to the attorney. Because
Okay.
if you can get the tenant to sign a new month-to-month agreement that discloses all of her rights as a tenant, but doesn't change any of her rules, and have her sign and agree to it, that has the lead-based paint disclosure, the asbestos disclosure, the mold disclosure, the clothesline disclosure, and every other disclosure that you could possibly think of
Yeah.
to help protect your tenant, and she signs and agrees to the new contract.
Then let me ask you this, because Section 8 always starts out with a 1-year lease. She's Section 8. You saying I can go back with a month to month?
Well, neither one of you have a complete copy of the written rules. And
That's
there's
right.
been a lot of laws in
Mhm.
play that help protect tenants, and your contracts don't disclose those.
Yeah,
So you'd like to enter into a new rental agreement with her so that everybody knows what the rules are. Talk to Section 8 and see if they'll help you implement it.
okay, okay, okay. Thank you. That's a good
No
idea.
problem.
Okay.
And then I have, oh no, I found it. I found my chat. There's something wrong with my chat button, so I wasn't able to see what you guys are typing. I'm
Mhm.
going backwards. Just to confirm, we can no longer charge pet rent. That is correct. I have only seen these 60-day evictions when a tenant abandons the property and did not respond to the landlord and received a default judgment. That is correct, David. All they need to do is make judgment within 60 days and an eviction shows on the credit. Okay? Patty, I have a question. Oh, that was you, Sarita. Okay, we answered that. Can you
Yeah.
repeat the occupancy limits that we should have on rental criteria, please? 2 per bedroom plus one is the industry standard. As long as it's on your criteria and in your lease contract, it's usually enforceable. Okay? Hope everybody got that. Speaking of Section 8 in Larso, I applied for a rent increase and it will take them 60 to 90 days to process the request from the date of submission. That is normal process and procedure for Section 8, just so you know. Can we submit rent increases for the non-Section 8 tenants at the property? I seem to remember I heard that it applies to all tenants, even if they are not Section 8, or am I confused? Melanie, let me explain. What you're talking about is the CARES Act, okay? And this is why you were told anything that's Section 8, okay? There was a new law that was passed, oh God, I want to say it was in August of last year, but don't quote me that. I think it might have even went back as far as April, okay? And what it talks about is the CARES Act. Anything that's federally funded goes on a special notice when you're asking for monetary issues. Monetary means money, you guys, in case nobody knew that. So if your Section 8 tenant doesn't pay the rent in any city in the state of California, you are to give them a 30-day notice to pay rent or quit, not a 3-day. Okay? It's subject to the CARES Act. Think of your 3-day notice right now. Does it count holidays and weekends? No. Neither does a 30-day pay rent or quit from Section 8. No holidays, no weekends. So it turns into a 45-day notice. If you want to serve a Section 8 tenant because they didn't pay their utility bill, it goes on a 30-day curable breach of covenant. Anything that's money and has federal funds touching it requires 30 days, okay? With that being said, it also falls on the landlord side, anything federally funded. So Freddie Mae, Fannie Mac, if you have that as a loan on your mortgage, you have to use the CARES Act, even if your tenant is not on Section 8. Anything that has federal funds touching it requires a 30-day notice if you're asking for monetary damages. Okay? The reason that they tell you it applies to all tenants, even if they're not on Section 8, is it has to do with federal funds. Okay? If you have a Section 8 tenant in a building and your other 7 tenants are non-Section 8, you have federal funding touching your property. So to err on the side of caution, your legal counsel may have told you if you have Section 8 in the building, it applies to everybody. And the reason they're telling you that is because nobody knows for sure how this is going to go yet. There's no case law. Okay? So they're trying to get you to err on the side of caution and let some other fool go all the way through a jury trial and come up with the case law so the rest of us know exactly how the courts would rule on it in the future. So you're not confused. Your legal counsel, whoever's giving you that advice, is trying to protect you because nobody knows yet. There's no case law. So they're just trying to get you to err on the side of caution, Melanie, and I hope that makes sense. Okay, let me go through the rest of the question. Bed bugs. Oh God, Val, why'd you have to say the B word? I used to teach a lot of classes about bed bugs, and I used to stand up there and just scratch myself, and everybody would laugh at me. But then I'd look around and I'd tell people, don't touch your face while I'm talking about these, because if I see you start doing it, then I'm going to start doing it. Okay. I bought a house 9 years ago with the same 2 tenants still there. They called for some maintenance. My guy screamed and ran out since the place was completely infested. I talked to an exterminator who will most likely tent and advise to keep everything except food inside the house. However, surely after the fumigation, everything must be thrown away. Anyway, I'm now wondering if I need to completely renovate the bedroom and the kitchen since the doors and the drawers had bugs. No, I do not need to pay for accommodations, right? How did the bed bugs get in the property? Did the tenants bring them in? That's my question, because if the tenants brought them in and you gave them the bed bug disclosure, they're responsible for the expenses, most likely. Okay. And I was going to call you the other night and I forgot, because you guys, property management life is happening to me. Okay. My tenants moved out in the middle of the night and I am now having to move in and repair a vacant home. And it was my parents' house, my grandparents' house. So it's emotional at the same time. So I completely feel like a landlord. Just saying. All right. I do not need to, you might have to pay for accommodations. What we need to find out, Val, is what was the source of the infestation? Your exterminator should be able to identify that for you. Hang on. I'm still reading you, Val. Hang on. That's why they call them bed bugs. They're hitchhiking. They spread so quickly. I would ask the exterminator to give you a cleanliness report and a cause of infestation report. I know that tenant's been there for a long time. Do they have bed bug notification or disclosure on file? If not, you need to serve them with bed bug notification disclosure immediately. I'd also add lead-based paint, asbestos, and a few more disclosures just so you're giving them all the disclosures at once. Lead-based paint, asbestos, mold, and I'm trying to think of other things that you could throw in there, okay? But I'd give them all of those right away. And then let's talk tonight, Val. Give me a call sometime after 6 and we can talk about it, okay? Random question, and I know it's a personal choice. Okay, Melanie, I'm struggling with QuickBooks for years for our needs as it's so complicated. Have you or anyone else had success with bookkeeping using simpler platforms for properties and property management? I use Buildium for management, but I haven't got my head around that portion of the platform. Look into AppFolio, 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 something like that. They're amazing. They do amazing accounting for property management, and it's an amazing software. It even has, I went to pick up my phone, but you guys were zooming through it. You can actually do a move out inspection at a property, take pictures, email the workman, email the landlord, all with a touch of a button of what repairs need to be done. It's an amazing software program. It's called AppFolio. I highly suggest it if you have more than 50 doors. Yeah, here comes April. AppFolio is great. All right. I like AppFolio. AppFolio is awesome, just so you guys know. Yardi's okay too, but it's extremely expensive. I don't recommend Yardi unless you have more than 500 doors because it's extremely expensive and it is not user friendly. And what I mean by that is it's all written like accounting is written, you know, everything comes in as a deduction and then it's applied as a credit. And you end up having to explain to landlords every day what the accounting process is like. So it runs like an accounting software program, but we landlords, we don't understand that. So it's a little confusing for us. It works great if you got more than 500 doors. AppFolio is much more user friendly. Just saying. Ask the exterminator for cause of infestation report and a cleanliness report. I know there's no proof, but see if your exterminator will find that out for you. Because if they say they brought in used furniture, bingo, you got them. Let the exterminator start asking how the infestation happened. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get in your head. Somebody's raising their hand? Yes, no? Okay. I am not doing well with this Zoom questions today. They're disappearing on me. All right, anybody have anything else they want to talk about? And I can't see what's on the coming through on the
Yeah,
questions. right
actually,
Yes, I
I
have
do
an-
have a question.
now. Everybody all at once.
I know.
Okay,
Should I go first?
you're talking. Go.
Okay, cool. I was called by one of my friends, and that's in the same business. And he was talking about a tenant protection form that we need to send to tenants.
VAWA.
Excuse me?
VAWA.
VAWA?
Violence Against Women. Violence Against Women Act. VAWA.
Okay, he was saying something about for single family homes only in the county. Is that what it is?
It's not single family homes. It's anything in LA County. If you're terminating tenancy, you want to give a VAWA disclosure also.
Okay, no, it's not.
VAWA is against, it's violence against domestic violence, women against protected act. I don't know. It's something to do in LA County, but I'm not sure what you're talking about otherwise.
No,
Does that
it
make
was,
sense?
yeah, well, this VAWA, we have to send this now with the 3-day? Is that what you're saying?
Some LARSO requires it.
With the 3-day? Yeah? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
no, I didn't know about that. No, he
Yeah.
said something about that we have to send some sort of a notice to only single family residences. No, you don't know anything
Are
about?
you talking about AB 1482 disclosures for single family residents, letting them know that they're exempt from statewide rent control? Because
Maybe,
that doesn't apply to all single family residences. It depends on how the owner holds title.
okay. What is,
Okay. So let's back up real quick. January 1st, 2020, the state of California passed rent control on all residential dwellings. You had until July 1st of 2020 to notify the tenant if you were exempt.
Mhm.
If you didn't do that, then you were subject to the statewide rent control and had to pay relocation fees if you were terminating tenancy at no cause of the tenant.
Uh-huh.
So now we need to disclose to all our single family residences that are exempt and serve them with a notice of change terms and an exemption notice so that they're not subject to statewide rent control.
Okay.
I hope that
and
makes sense.
You said that that's AB 1482?
Yes, also known
Okay.
as the Tenant Protection Act or the TPA for short, and it is statewide rent control. It actually is also known as California Civil Code 1946.2. So
Okay, and where do
it
we
went
get,
from an assembly bill to a civil code, which tells me it's not going away anytime soon.
okay, so where do we get this disclosure? How do I get the verbiage to send to these people or what?
Check with your apartment association or your legal counsel. And what
I
you're
did
looking
check with
for,
AGLA and they had nothing.
bullshit. It's called a AB 1482 exemption form. And I know they
Okay.
have it. You just gotta
Okay.
know the right word.
Yeah,
It's in all the lease.
didn't make sense
you-
probably.
If you pull up new lease, it'll say in the new leases, this property is subject to statewide rent control, or this property is not subject and it is exempt, or this property is subject to and the effective date will be blank. Because if a single family home adds an ADU,
Mhm.
the single family home immediately has rent control and the ADU is exempt for the first 15 years.
Okay,
So that date of when rent control hits that property needs to be on the lease contract. I
okay,
hope that makes sense to you. But I
Kind of.
believe what you're talking to me about is an
Mhm.
AB 1482 disclosure, because that's the only one I know in the state that applies mostly to single family residents.
okay, great, thank you.
Oh, Okay,
No problem.
Patty, this is Marion again. Wanted
Yes.
to know, you discussed if it's in default of rent in terms of the 30-day notice to the LA city tenants. But if it's not pertaining to
Hold
rent.
on.
Okay.
It's not LA City, it's the state of California.
Oh, state of California, the 30-day
Yes.
notice.
Anything that's federally funded on the owner side or the tenant side.
But that's pertaining to non-payment of rent. Am I correct?
Any monetary damages. So you would use a 30-day pay rent or quit if they owed you rent. And you would use a 30-day cure or quit if they owed you utilities, a broken window, something along those lines. Anything that's money
Okay. anything
requires
with-
a 30-day.
Okay. Now, what about if they are in breach of contract, okay, whether it's incurable or not? Say, for instance, you've asked this tenant a dozen times, there's a specific place where the trash cans go. All the other tenants, they are obedient and they put them where they should be. This tenant wants to be special, okay? They have attached things to the property, such as chains to the guardrails, and I've asked them to remove it not less than 1 dozen times, and they still continue to do it the way they want. I have been trying to get in my unit for over 3 years. I have not been able to get in my unit yet. I have no idea what she's done to it, but anyone fighting this hard and this long, obviously there's been something major done to my property. So do I have to give a 30-day notice in order for me to get in? Because I've given 24 notices, 24-hour notices. What is it specifically in the order that I should do it? Because she's not going to let me.
Hold on. You
Okay.
want to serve in LA City. You
Okay.
want to serve, and this is per our attorney.
Okay.
You want to serve 3 attempts to gain access with a written 24-hour notice, and then you can do a cure or quit.
Okay.
They
3
may require several cure or quits before you can do the quit notice and actually start the eviction. So I would work like this with your legal team so that you can get all that done timely.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Because everybody wanted, yep, go ahead. What you got?
So if you have a Larso tenant that's been in the property like 10 years, and you want to give these updated molds and all the other things that you currently have now on your addendums that you've had in your new lease, you just make a copy of them, and I can hand it to them and then just do a proof of service form. And then do I have to include a Larso certificate of,
Anytime
Uh,
you serve a document, yes.
okay, so even though it's not a financial thing, you still have to serve it with the certificate.
I always would to protect
Okay.
yourself.
Okay, and
Okay.
just hand it to them. I don't have to say anything to them. I just give it to them, or just say
You can
I want
post it.
to.
I'm giving you these required disclosures.
Okay, required
And
disclosures.
let me say this, okay? Bed bugs, lead-based paint, asbestos, and mold are mandated. What that means in simple English is they're required by law. So you can serve them even if they're in a 1-year term because those documents are mandated. Okay?
Hold on. Bed bugs, mold, asbestos, and what else?
Lead-based paint, mold, because there's a new mold addendum with photos
Yeah.
on it, just so everybody knows. Mold, bed bugs, lead-based paint, asbestos.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
racking my brain. That's what that look is, you guys, is I'm turning my head to let more information in. Okay, just hang on. I'm doing the widget processing. Those are the 4 off the top of my head that are mandated by law, and you could serve at any time.
Thank you.
Patty, I thought that I was a member of your website, okay? But
Mhm.
I've gone to your website and I don't know how to log in. It's telling me my login information is incorrect. So what do I need to do in order to gain access to this new what I'm going to see, the new rental criteria? I need to get a copy of that.
I got you. So just send an email to Widget at Widget's Way. I have an IT tech that monitors that all day long, and he sees what you guys email me. And if you're asking me for something or to do something to help you, he will do that for me. It's great.
Okay. So
He's
that
awesome.
widget
You guys
at
ever
widgetsway.com.
.com.
Okay.
And just say, hey, I'm having trouble with whatever you're having trouble with, you guys. He's
Okay.
great, and he will do everything he can. April,
Okay.
I don't see something from you, so send it again, please. Any thoughts on the proposed LA County air conditioning mandate? Run. I try to tell you guys all the time, get out of the devil's cauldron. Now you know what I'm talking about. They're trying to make us put air conditioning in all the properties in the county and provide it as a habitability issue.
That's crazy. That's crazy. At whose expense?
Ours.
Hmm.
Oh,
But it
you hear
hasn't
me?
passed, though. It hasn't passed though, right? No way has it passed,
It's
right?
in litigation. It's coming. They're trying. Larso and Fast Evict have served the UD and the tenant responded. We've done a full inspection of the property as the tenant claimed habitability along with other bullshit items. Sorry, I know what BS means, so forgive me. I believe that there's nothing left for us as the manager to do apart from gather our file on the tenant, or is there something else you suggest? I'm gonna make this real simple for you guys. I learned this decades ago and it stuck with me, so I'm gonna try to make it stick with you, okay? Whatever the tenant puts on the answer is what they can argue in court, okay? Okay. So with that said, if it's not on their answer, it didn't happen. So when you're preparing yourself for trial, look at their answer. What are they claiming on here? Because that's what they're going to argue in court. It's kind of like a roadmap for you, okay? It's on their answer. They can argue it in court. So whatever's on their answer is how you build your defense. If they say there's a whole bunch of habitability issues and a bunch of stuff, I would serve a 24-hour notice to enter. When the tenant says, I'm not going to let you in here, you're going to mess my case up. I'd say, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Now they failed to allow entry. When I go back into trial, I'm going to tell the judge, how could I provide them a habitable dwelling when they won't let me in?
There you go. Smart.
Okay. It's doing your part as an owner to set them up when you get that far. It's you helping your attorney. It's you paving the road to help your legal counsel. Okay. If it's not on the answer, don't get a whole bunch of documentation for it because they're not going to argue that. They can't argue that. They can only argue what they put on the answer. It's not on the answer, they can't argue it. So they are giving you a roadmap of what they're going to say when they get into court. If everything is about the fact that and I'm just throwing things out. The reason I haven't paid rent is my landlord hasn't had the grass mowed in 6 months. Okay, whatever the deal is, that's all they can argue in court. I hope this is going bing, 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 and everybody's like, oh, you just made it so much easier. My tenant said the reason she can't pay her rent is her dog died. Is a judge going to let you stay in a house because your dog died?
What is a
Got it?
UD? It says Fastavix has served UD.
Unlawful detainer. It's the legal term for eviction.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
And then people ask me all the time, unlawful detainer, is there a lawful one? No, but there's a forcible detainer, and that's even worse. Not to you, to the person that's getting a forcible detainer pushed on them. What's the difference between an unlawful detainer and a forcible detainer? A forcible detainer means the person broke in and is now holding your property hostage. They forced their way in. Forcible detainer. Got it? A lot harder for them to argue habitability issues if they broke in and are holding it hostage. Just saying.
So like a squatter?
I don't use that word, but yes.
What word do you use?
Occupant. Trespasser.
Got it.
I want them ejected. They don't belong here. Everybody caught that word right now? Ejected. It means I want them thrown out, officer. They don't belong here. Use the word evicted and they'll tell you it's a civil matter. Call your attorney. Did that work? Did that make somebody's head go ding? I'm trying. I covered all the bullet points. Good. What if the owner didn't get the RSO certificate until they served the 3-day, reserve the 3-day. The RSO certificate must be served with the notice, correct?
Mhm.
So if it wasn't served with the notice,
Lisa.
and you can't prove that it was served with the notice, that's a problem. Call your legal counsel. Hope
I'm
that
glad
made
you s-
sense.
I'm glad you said that, Patty. So when we're posting a notice to their door for whether it's 24-hour or whether it's 3-day or 30-day, do we have to put it in an envelope, or can we post that in the open with their name and information on the window or door?
What the law says
Mhm.
is that it must be posted and mailed, but it must be posted in a conspicuous place.
Okay,
With that being said, let me tell you what I did once.
okay.
And I'm not telling you to copy me. Everybody, please don't do this, okay?
Okay.
I had a tenant that pissed me off. It happens. She always paid her rent late and she was always 3 months behind. And this owner was just placating with her, if you will. Oh, she's gonna be late again. Bullshit. She's raking you over the coals and you're too dumb to see it. She's 3 months behind. She throws you half a month's rent every time I serve her a notice and you keep taking it. Right? Savvy tenants. Don't ask. Don't ask. This tenant was very smart and very savvy and knew how to manipulate the system to her advantage. So I served her a 3-day notice and she didn't like it. She was pissed. She called me and said, I don't appreciate you putting a 3-day notice on my door. Do you know that my child's tutor came to the house to tutor them and she actually handed it to me? Do you know how embarrassing that was? My response was, well, I guess if you don't want that posted on your door, you should pay your rent on time. Don't do what I'm saying, please. I reiterate, okay? So the owner said, take the $500. The chick owes like $9,000, okay? And I'm tired of playing the game every month. I've done this for over a year. So I tell the owner, I'm done. We're done managing this for you. Either you're going to have to let us do our job and evict this tenant that's slow to pay, or we're going to cancel management because I'm not having this chick be 3 months behind, tell me she's a doctor and I embarrassed her because I didn't put the notice in an envelope. Do you know what I did next month?
No.
I went to Kinko's. Remember when there was
There-
Kinko's?
Yeah.
You Xeroxed it and made it the size of the whole door.
Poster size, 24 by 30, I believe, in
Mhm.
bright neon yellow. And I duct taped it to her door.
Okay.
And she called me and she said, what's the meaning of this? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I looked up the civil code. It doesn't say how big the piece of paper has to be or what color it has to be on. All it says is it must be posted in a conspicuous place. In an envelope isn't conspicuous.
Okay. Okay.
So the envelope thing you're doing is a courtesy to your tenants so that everybody else doesn't know their personal business. That's
Okay.
not a requirement of the law.
Okay. Thank you.
So
I'm not
thank
gonna
you
be
for
nice.
laughing at
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I printed it poster size and
Okay.
duct taped it to her front door.
Okay.
Don't do
Yeah.
what I do, okay?
So don't
No.
do it.
Don't do it. But what I'm trying to tell you is what the law says is it must be posted in a conspicuous place.
And an envelope is not conspicuous. I got it. So I'm gonna even do something bigger. I'm gonna take that 10 by 13 size golden envelope. I'm gonna staple it to it, and then I'm gonna tape it completely to her door. This person has been very clever for 3 years. This person took me to civil court, okay, for harassment. And you know what the harassment was? Me coming onto my property. She literally requested the court to ban me from coming onto my own property, okay?
They can't ban the mailman from delivering mail.
Exactly. But it cost me $4,500 to have an attorney represent me because of all the false things. And this judge was able to see right through the BS, right through it, naming all the things I was doing. I would send contractors to give me bids on doing fixing work. She was saying I was sending people over there to harass her and spy on her. Okay. And
Like we have enough time to do that.
exactly, exactly. So this person has to go because this person has cost me in excess of $12,000 in the last year. So unnecessarily, okay. What they're doing right now, and Patty, this is really important. I don't know what you can tell us to do. But when there's an issue in the building, and because she won't let me in, she doesn't want me in, instead of contacting me to tell me there's an issue, she contacts LEHD and then they send me this nasty ass letter, 5-6 page letter that, I got to do these things. What can I do?
Send LAHD a copy of all the 24-hour notices to enter that she won't oblige by.
Okay.
You want to play games with me, LAHD?
Okay.
Let's
okay,
go.
Okay. That's what I'm gonna have to do. That's what I'm gonna have to do.
At some point, LAHD needs to acknowledge that
Mhm.
there is a problem, and it
Right.
might not be from the landlord.
And it's not. Trust me, it's not. So it's
And all of
time-
you that
Mhm.
are saying that you're running to Kinko's now, thank God they're out of business.
We
Hey.
still have Staples.
Don't copy Patty, okay? Let me tell you guys the worst thing I ever did in my career, and I will still tell you about it all day long, okay? The very first eviction I did, I didn't know what I was doing. I served them a 3-day notice and they didn't pay the rent. So I went over to their house and I sat there in my car and I waited for them to leave and go to work. I used my key, let myself in, emptied their house, put it into my garage, and then held their stuff hostage until they paid the rent they owed, gave them their stuff back, and didn't let them back in the house. This was 20 years ago. I could have went to jail for theft, okay? This is not how you do an eviction. But it's the very first time I ever did one, and I did it myself. I didn't go to the court. Don't copy me. When I say don't copy me, there's a reason why I'm saying don't copy me, okay?
Okay.
We don't lock people out that way, okay? No, we follow the law.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
tell you guys this because I know sometimes you make mistakes. I made them too. That's why I'm here. I want to tell you, don't make the same mistakes I've made. I learned the hard way, and this is what I learned, and I want to share it with you. That's why I'm here. Yes, the good old days.
So
I actually asked my tenant, "Are you allergic to lead?" And my tenant said, "No. Why?" And I said, "Oh, good to know." Left it at that.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about lead-based paint.
You're talking about ink.
Not talking about ink either. I'm talking
No.
about the other end of a
Oh, okay.
Are you allergic to lead?
Gotcha. So
Don't copy what I say, you guys. I'm not trying to get you sued.
the judge in that case, I was telling him that I had asked her to remove all of the cameras in her windows that is actually spying on everyone else. And
Modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord, that's creating a nuisance for neighboring residents.
no, but it's inside her unit in
It's
the window.
creating a nuisance to
Nuisance,
neighboring residents.
Okay, good. So I would put the notice covering her camera, and the judge said to her, it's inside your unit, right? Yes. You can move your camera then, can't you? That's what the judge said.
So you understand how to manipulate the system the same way I do.
Okay. Cover her cameras.
Every
And-
time I serve a 3-day notice and they have a Ring doorbell, I tape the notice to the Ring.
Okay, excellent. Love it.
Hey,
Love
at
it.
least they know it's there. It's blocking their
Exactly.
view.
And she has 3 cameras, so maybe I can just put the notice and cover all 3 cameras.
It's a nuisance to neighboring residents. And
Yeah.
she really needs to think about what she's doing and hear me out, okay? Because I just saw this suit come through.
Okay,
It happened during COVID, okay?
okay.
A resident in a community, meaning an apartment community, put up cameras just like you're saying in the
Mhm.
window so they could see out, but they weren't mounted to the property.
Right.
They were using those cameras to see when neighboring residents were coming and going from the property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why you can't allow it.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's violates other neighboring residents' right to quiet enjoyment. Because
I'm writing
someone
it
else
down.
now knows their coming and goings and their patterns. See the safety issue?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm just planting seeds so you guys can grab a hold of them and run with them. That's all. LARSO registration certificates are not available. I have email with rent registry slides from webinar last week if anyone needs them. Arlene's talking some serious stuff right now. They're only giving you receipts for your payment, or you can go on the website, but you cannot print out the registration certificate. Arlene's correct. And we are having to actually ask our attorney if we can serve copies of the paid thing with all the information on it rather than the actual certificate, because LARSO is not providing them.
As of when?
There's some problem right now. They're not available.
Oh,
Oh,
Registration certificates are not available. Go ahead, Arlene. I know you're gonna give me an
Yeah.
update.
Patty.
Yeah, they're saying maybe spring. On the webinar, they were saying that they may send out a mass email when they become available, but they're having some IT issues. But I couldn't even, fortunately, I had copies of my old ones, but I can't even pull up any previous years. But the 2022s that we use for 2023 are still good till, I think it's August. So you
I
can
think
use
you're right.
those.
I was gonna say July, so
Yeah,
we're close.
yeah. Yeah, it's something
Um,
like that, but they're still good.
it-
Those are still good, but
It's a
even if you've paid,
technicality.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
technicality from the city of Los Angeles. And if you
mhm.
think it wasn't done by design,
Okay, okay.
Patty.
oh, yes, I heard somebody yell Patty.
Yeah, Patty. I paid for the registration, everything, and then everything is fine, and I got the certification.
Okay, some people aren't able to get the certificate. It's like they didn't order enough of them from the printer. Okay?
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, just so you guys understand, they didn't order enough of those certificates from the printer, so they're unable to give them to us. But they are giving us proof that we paid the fees, our APN numbers on there. There's some other things on there. So we're now asking legal counsel, can we serve our notices with that instead?
But it doesn't disclose all of the rights, like the information.
Bingo,
Okay,
bingo.
So I can use the other ones that I have. They're good to June 30th, 2024. Yeah.
Then use that until
Mhm.
June 30th and hope to God they get their act together by July.
Patty, I
All
have
right.
a questions. For the
Sure.
registration, it's supposed to be original from LAHD that we need to post on the wall, or the one that they send it online?
LARSO is what we're talking about.
Yeah, this one, I got it.
Okay, but some people aren't getting theirs. They didn't order enough certificates. They don't have enough of the paper that they're printed on.
Oh, but can I post it on one that they send it online?
If you can print it out off the internet and it's the actual certificate, then you can serve it with the notice. If you don't have that, call your attorney.
Mhm.
Oh, because I got all the property address and everything, on the online certificate.
Some people aren't getting that.
Okay,
That's what that's what I'm trying to tell you. Some
Okay,
people
okay.
are just getting a receipt number and nothing else.
Okay, I see. I got it. Okay. I thought, you know,
You're very fortunate.
okay, okay,
So
thank you.
Patty, on that
Yes.
registration, it mentions that we can charge the tenant when we install a new carbon monoxide detector and smoke detector. We can charge them $3 per month. Do you know all the other things that go along with that, such as $3 a month indefinitely, $3 a month for 12 months? And do you get a chance to charge them $3 per month for each one if you're putting in 3? Can you tell me about that?
No, I'd have to look at Larso's caveats for that.
Okay.
They have a lot of caveats, but
Okay,
they're all garbage in my opinion. Because
okay.
come on, a tenant's not going to allow you to charge them $3 every month for having smoke detectors. And if they do allow it, the second that battery goes dead and they start chirping, guess who's calling you at 4 a.m.?
But these are hardwired.
That's even worse.
Why?
Yeah.
Because if one malfunctions, they all go off.
Not true in my case.
Okay, you're fortunate.
Not true.
I have hardwired in my house. I have one that has a battery go dead and I'm short. For those of
Yeah.
you that don't know, Patty is 4 feet 8 inches tall. Okay. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
reach anything. Okay.
Okay.
So I go hunting for a beeping smoke detector with a 9-volt battery in one hand and a 12-gauge shotgun in the other. And if my son won't stand on a chair and change that battery, I threaten to do it myself. He told me one day, Mom, you can't blow a hole in your own roof. I said, why not? I own it. I own it.
Yeah.
You either get up there and change it or I'm gonna.
I did find out from the city, I'm sure you're familiar with THP, that I don't want to say I was forced because the gas company kept saying that the wall heater could be repaired, okay? She was not happy until she had the gas company to come out 3 times, 3 different reps to force them to say it had to be replaced. Okay, so then I got this notice, not to me, but to her, that it had to be replaced. Little did I know it was not going to be a $2,200 job. It's going to be a $6,000 job because they had to tear out her wall. We had to get the permit. We had to get the city, Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety out. They had to come and do the inspection, and then we had to do the permit, and then we had to come have LAHD to come out, and then the gas company come out. They had to tear out walls, not only in her unit, but the unit up above, because they had to replace the ventilation system. Okay, $6,000 later. I talked to them and they said, you are aware that you can pass 1/2 of that on to the tenant in increments of $55 a month. Are you aware of that?
This is what I mean about all the little caveats through
Yeah.
Larceau. They
Yeah.
have a lot of things you can do forgive me for saying it this way, but I'm a broker. Capital improvements.
Yes, yes.
Okay. There is
Yeah.
a lot of wiggle room to nickel and dime the hell out of a tenant with capital improvements.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No problem. But I'm not familiar with each allowance depending on the capital improvement.
So,
But there are special forms and you got to get it pre-approved.
Bingo.
It's a whole,
See,
it's a whole,
Arlene's
it's
gonna
a whole
know more
process.
about this.
Yeah, it's a whole process. You can't
Yeah,
just automatically do it.
it's not
And they
quick.
have,
You got to apply for it. They have to approve it. It goes through a panel and a board, I'm sure.
mhm, okay. All right, so with that being said, if it's only affecting that tenant's unit, although it's a capital improvement to the entire building, they had to go up through the roof and all of this. Do I pass it on to everyone or only that
Yeah.
tenant?
Yeah,
All
I'd
of them.
pass it on to everybody because you got to treat everybody the
The
same.
same. Oh, no, I mean, but that $6,000, I get a chance to apply that to the other remaining 4 tenants.
Most
Yeah.
likely, but you're gonna have to
Fif-
apply.
50%,
Oh, yeah, I
50,
understand that.
50%.
50% of that job.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
okay. They told me where to go. They gave me all the information, the website, take all the information, the receipts and all that. So I'm gonna pursue
And
that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this, so everybody pay attention to me. The
Okay.
process and procedure that you're talking about doing is
Mhm.
timely and it takes time. I mean, they don't approve it right away. It takes 6 months. Agreed, Arlene?
At least. And I think you have to do it in advance. You have to,
In
it's a
advance of
whole,
the
it's a,
work? In advance
yeah,
of the work?
I think so. I
It's a
think with the
whole,
permits.
it's a whole entire caveat, forgive me for saying this, of bureaucracy and bullshit. Okay, the landlord has to pay $6,000. We're going to allow them half of that to pass it on to the tenant, but only in the amount of $55 a year. In the meantime, you're bleeding money. You have to wait 6 months for approval from the frickin' city to do this in the first place. Most of us don't take the time. And that's why we all bitch and complain about what we can't raise our rents to and how much it's costing us, because we don't take the time to apply for the city and get that $55 credit, because it is timely. It
It's
isn't timely. It takes forever and it's
It's
frustrating. You got to
55
provide this and provide that. And
Yeah,
so
it's
just so
50
you know,
Yeah, it's 55 per month, not year.
I got you. But what I'm
Okay,
trying to
okay,
say is,
okay.
how long is it going to take the owner to pay that back? 5 years?
I'll put it this way, in this particular case, because her rent is so low, because it's so old, I will be at a deficit for minimally 7 months. In other words, that's the equivalent of her not paying any rent, because her rent is only 1,100. You understand?
Yes, and if you think this isn't being set up by design, you're sadly mistaken.
Exactly. Of course, this is by design. This is to break us. Period. End of story. To break us. Yeah.
I am not commenting. Do you see that?
I know, but
I'm being a
I
good
can.
girl.
So
Yes,
whatever
you
they're,
can.
if they're listening to us, I'm telling them, you guys are trying to break us. Because I believe that they're getting on your
I'll
call.
say, I think they're trying to eliminate the little guy from LA County, hands down.
Yep.
Only LA County. I thought it was all in California.
So let me tell you something you don't know.
Okay.
Do you know that Riverside County and San Bernardino County have been back to business as normal since October of 2022?
Get out of here. Wow.
Now you
Wow.
tell me that it's all of California, because I can tell you where it is. It is
Yeah.
all of LA County.
Yeah.
It is
What do
the
you
city.
mean back to normal? What does that mean, back to normal?
We didn't have restrictions. In LA City, they still can't do a rent increase. It's been 4 years.
Yes. Thank you.
In
Yeah,
LA City, they can't evict for unauthorized occupants or unauthorized pets. It's been 4 years.
All right.
That's what I mean. We've been able to do that in Riverside since October of 2022. We were
Wow.
back to regular 3-day notices. We were back to, I'm going to
Right.
evict you if you don't pay the rent in October of 2022.
So is it
There
wise to
wasn't
invest?
threshold rent that we don't have. Rent control seems to congregate around metropolises.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
We are seeing very heavy restrictions in all of LA County because it spread like cancer.
Right.
And now we're starting to see the city of San Diego act just like the city of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Chula Vista in San Diego County now has rent control.
Mhm.
City of Santa Ana in Orange County now has rent control. And there's talk of implementing it in the city of Irvine. Those
Wow.
people that pay $15,000 a month in rent don't like a 10% increase.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
but
here's what I learned.
Mhm, mhm.
Everywhere there's an international airport for 30 miles, there's going to
Mhm.
be heavy protections for tenants. Why does Patty say that? Why are you bringing in international airports? Think about it. If you have an international airport, it creates a hub of warehouses and all this stuff coming and going, and it creates a bunch of jobs. And for those bunch of jobs, they need a bunch of apartments because they got to do this, right? So anywhere you have an international airport, you have a metropolis. Stay away from the metropolis.
So are any of your properties in Riverside County? That's where they are. Is that a
San
wise,
Bernardino County.
okay. Is that a good advice to maybe do a 1031 exchange and take all of my stuff out of LA? Because everything I have is in LA.
I call it the devil's cauldron for a reason, sweetheart. It's a cross between a devil and the witch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And ain't none of it in your favor.
And you
Not
got
one
that.
thing.
Not one. And I'm sick and tired of it. The other thing I wanted to know was about the,
Smoke detector information. Here's Arlene. She's going off. She's giving you all the codes and the
Okay.
links right here. That's
okay,
my LARSO girl. She knows it.
okay, I'm ready. She put it in there?
Teamwork, you guys. It's in there. I see it in the chat. Code
Okay,
library, amlegal.com codes for Los Angeles. Latest LAMC on smoke detectors.
okay, let me copy that, right? Copy the link.
Screenshot.
Oh, yeah, that's what I need to do.
That's the quickest.
Exactly. Let me do the screenshot right now.
All right, you guys, and I'm gonna get off of here. I've been over 30 minutes. If anybody has anything else, you guys can help me down, okay? I hope
Okay.
everybody learned something from today. We got a lot of moving pieces going on in the future. We have new laws hitting us as soon as July. That's a maximum security deposit law. Next Wednesday, we'll talk about how to determine whether or not you're susceptible to that new maximum security deposit of 1 month's rent. I'm going to tell you this way. You can't have more than 2 parcels, no more than 4 units, including the one you live in. What, Patty? What if I own 3 single-family residences? That maximum security deposit of 1 month's rent applies to you. Okay? You're only exempt if you own less than 2 parcels with a total of 4 doors or less. Meaning you can have 2 pieces of property, live in a single family residence and own a triplex and be exempt. If you own a 4-plex, you're subject to.
Patty, can you check with the attorneys? Because I heard something that if it's in a trust, that it's per person on the trust.
I'll look at the bill in regards to how it's handled in the trust, but I'm telling you, they're trying to limit the entire state to 1 month's rent, so they're going to make it extremely difficult. Okay, I'm just telling you. So my opinion to you guys is this. Until June 30th, collect all the deposit you can possibly get. Okay? In other words, if someone's moving in tomorrow, you want a higher security deposit. All the way until June 30th, you want a higher security deposit. Because come July 1st, it's going to be like pulling teeth, you guys. And for those of us professional property management companies, here's my opinion to you. Pay attention. If you are managing property for profit for other landlords and helping them, and you are putting a property up for rent for them, and you're a management company, you will be challenged and questioned every time you try to ask for the higher deposit. They're advertising this on the news. If you think tenants don't know, you're sadly mistaken. Okay? I'm trying to warn you. Don't think they don't know. They're already asking, are you going to refund the double deposit I paid come July 1st? No, I'm sorry. We allocate deposits once you vacate. So if you want your high deposit back, get out of my house. I'd be more than happy to return it to you. Sorry, I don't mean to be an ass, but sometimes we need to be, right?
Exactly. You've
In
been
LA
so much
County,
help. Yeah.
harassment is real, okay? In LA County, landlord harassment is real. Use your fogging techniques. Use no absolute terms. If you don't use an absolute term, you can't threaten someone. Okay?
Okay.
Keep that in mind. You can't threaten someone if you don't use an absolute term.
Okay.
Example, if you don't pay your rent in 3 days, you will be evicted. Did I just threaten them? I sure
No.
did.
Okay.
Yes.
If you don't pay your rent in 3 days, you could be evicted. Did I just threaten them?
No.
Could, should, might, maybe, most likely need to become the words that are coming out of your mouth. Because if you're not answering in a definite term, you're definitely not giving them the wrong answer. Keep that in mind, okay? Could, should, might, most likely, maybe. My kids hate it because I will not give them a definite answer. But I have trained my brain to use could, should, might, most likely, and maybe, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you
right.
so much. All
Bye, my
righty.
sisters. Mwah.
Okay.
I love my sisters. All right, if
Great.
anybody else needs anything, hunt me down. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.